Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are tuning in. Thank you so much for joining me today for my first of several Facebook Lives, my first one in quite some time, a couple of months, I guess. So thank you, yeah, for joining me. I wouldn't be here without you all. And it is a pleasure for me to be here speaking on this topic today of metta, loving kindness. And so without your presence, I wouldn't be here. So I appreciate you very much. So you might ask, well, why am I appearing here on Facebook Live giving this talk on metta, on loving kindness? It's a fair enough question. And well, it's not only because I really enjoy giving these teachings, it's a topic that I love to speak about, but also I'm proud to announce rather, that I'm offering a 8-week online meditation retreat program called Loving Kindness, Widening Our Circle of Care. And this program will run from October 5th to November 26th this year, of course, 2022. So I'll mention a little bit about the program first, and then I'll do a brief guided meditation, and then we'll have a chat around loving kindness. So again, loving kindness, widening our circle of care. October 5th is the launch date. If you're in the States, in America, North America, South America, I think that's going to be October 4th, but please do check your time zones accordingly. So in Asia, it's October 5th to November 26th. We run from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. on Wednesdays and Sundays. That's in the East Coast. So again, adjust your clocks accordingly here. That's section one. Section two caters to Europe, and for those of us who like a later start in Asia, perhaps Australia, New Zealand. That runs on Thursdays and Mondays from 10 a.m. to 12 noon in Europe, Western Europe time, France time. Here in Asia, section two is 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Thursdays and Mondays. So again, take some care as you select which section you might want to join, and figure out your time zone. Also want to note that there will be a time change for many places in the world during the 8-week course. So try to factor that in as well. Now, this program is offered through Zoom, so those sessions are recorded. So if you have to miss a few sessions, several sessions, or even all of the sessions, that's totally fine. I do have people who register for the programs who just do the program as a learn as you go offering, and you're welcome to do that. So feel free to register if you can't make some of the live sessions. They're recorded with that intention in mind. So quite important about that. All of the sessions include guided meditations, question and answer discussion time. The whole program comes with one-on-one sessions with me throughout the course. So if you need a one-to-one session, or if you would like to have a one-to-one session, you feel that would be helpful and supportive, you would be invited to register for a one-to-one session. No extra charge for that if you're registered for the retreat. Everything that I offer is offered within a trauma-sensitive environment. I've been certified in trauma-sensitive mindfulness, advanced trauma-sensitive mindfulness. I've taken studies with trauma healers such as Gabor Mate and Peter Levine. And so I do try to offer everything within that frame. In addition to that, everything that I offer is done so within a secular voice. So there's no religion here being offered. Now everything, or rather I should say that my training is mostly in the Buddhist tradition, so a lot of what I speak to will be from the Buddhist discourses, but I try to do so in such a way that everyone can receive these teachings. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say about the retreat. Yeah, why don't I ring the bell, and I'll just guide us in a very, very quick arriving practice. So if you would then get into your most comfortable meditation posture, whatever that might mean for you. And I'll ring the bell and I'll bring us in. And so the invitation here is just to arrive into this present moment. There are many ways of connecting to the experience of the here and now. We could start perhaps with the experience of the breath. And so if you wish, if it feels helpful and supportive, perhaps taking a deep breath here. Simply noticing how the breath moves through the body with the in-breath and the out-breath. You might notice the rising and falling of the abdomen, the expanding and contracting of the rib cage with each breath. Perhaps noticing how the shoulders rise on the in-breath and fall on the out-breath. The back moving out as you breathe in and in as you breathe out. We might notice how the body tends to straighten up slightly as you breathe in and leans forward slightly as you breathe out. And while we're noticing the breath, perhaps noticing how the temperature changes from cooler to warmer at the nose and the back of the throat with each breath. Resting, resting. And so while we're here resting with this present moment experience, the invitation then is to bring awareness to the feet and noticing any sensations arising from the feet. Perhaps noticing the contact of the feet against the ground or carpet or floor. Or you might notice the temperature of the room against the skin of the feet. Perhaps noticing the weight of the body against the chair or cushion or mat. We might also notice the hands resting against the body or touching each other. Sensations arising from the shoulders, perhaps sensations of clothing against the shoulders. And noticing any sensation which might be arising from the top of the head, the very crown of the head. Resting, resting. And so while we're here resting with this present moment experience of breath and body, the invitation then is to notice any sounds which might be available. And if you can hear sounds from my side of this experience, you might hear the sound of rain, the occasional car or truck passing by, the sound of my voice. There might be quiet, subtle sounds or loud, obvious sounds. But regardless of the quality or volume of the sound, perhaps noticing here how sounds are always present moment experiences. And as such, sounds can make a great guidepost to the present moment experience. So if we should find we get distracted by thoughts, whether it's during meditation or listening to a talk or any time throughout the day, if we find we're distracted, we can always return back to the experience of sound. Likewise, the sensations of body and breath are always present moment experiences. Resting, resting. And so in the next breath or two, we'll begin to shift away from this opening meditation and back into a conversational space. And I'll cue that by ringing the bell 3 times. Okay. Well, thank you for joining me in that very brief opening meditation. I hope you found that enjoyable. I did. So, loving kindness, or in Sanskrit or Pali, the word is metta. Metta. And metta doesn't really translate into loving kindness in a very precise way. There are some translations that maybe get at some of the quality of metta that loving kindness doesn't quite speak to, so I'll offer a little bit of that now. Loving friendliness is another translation that's often used, or perhaps simply friendliness, or unconditional friendliness. That's a good one. Unconditional benevolence, also a type of loving kindness or a quality that's really held within this Sanskrit term or Pali term, metta. And metta is very often offered in the frame of the what's known in the Buddhist tradition as the Brahma Viharas, or the 4 immeasurable minds, the Brahma Viharas. Brahma Vihara is a Sanskrit term or a Pali term which translates to the home of the gods, the dwelling of the gods. I really like that because I think it really highlights the importance of these practices. You know, these qualities, these 4 aspects of the human heart, well, these qualities are the home where the gods hang out. How lovely. You know, wouldn't it be nice to hang out with the gods, right? So, I like to mention that because, the English translations, they can get kind of, they feel kind of light in a way. Yeah, loving kindness. It feels kind of arbitrary. Compassion, still the word compassion, I don't feel like it holds the weight that this quality of compassion holds within the contemplative traditions. Joy too, joy, mudita, another one of the Brahma Viharas, which seems to have this kind of almost optional. Yeah, joy is nice, but we can live without it. Not according to these traditions, not according to the contemplative path. Joy is integral at cultivating this journey. Upekkha, which translates loosely to equanimity. We might think, well, what does that mean, equanimity? And it really, there's many definitions for it, but for this course, or for this today's offering, we'll just frame equanimity as a way of being in the world free from judgment. Free from judgment. So these are the dwelling of the gods, and metta, loving kindness, makes 25% of that whole practice of the Brahma Viharas. So I want to read here, grab my journal book here. I want to read the Metta Sutta. I opened right to it. There's some magic there. So the Metta Sutta, this was a teaching, a discourse from the Buddhist tradition, said to be given directly from the Buddha when he was offering teachings to uh, people who were practicing what he was offering. He was offering teachings to bhikkhunis, bhikkhus, lay people. This is what the Buddha says about loving kindness. This is what should be done. By those who are skilled in goodness and who know the path of peace, let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm, wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove. Wishing, in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they be weak or strong, omitting none. The great or the mighty, the medium, the short or the small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none, through anger or ill will, wish harm upon another, even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child. So with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading through the skies and downward to the depths, outward and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is freed from repetitive existence. Oof. Every time I read that, I get goosebumps. He really says a lot there in such a short passage. I'm not going to unpack the whole thing here today. If you sign up for the 8-week program, we will take a much deeper dive into the Metta Sutta. But for now, I just want to, first point out how thorough the Buddha was, right? May all beings be at ease, the great, the mighty, the medium, the short or the small, the seen, the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born. May all beings be at ease. Really, really covers everyone, right? So this is the task at hand. This is the task at hand. Now we start with ourself, offering loving kindness to ourself. And the way the course is offered, we'll be spending together 4 weeks offering and cultivating loving kindness for ourselves. Then we'll spend a week sending that loving kindness to people we like and love, a week to people we don't know, another week to people we find challenging, and then to the entire world. So I want to read this often quoted passage from Albert Einstein as a kind of underscoring the importance of all of this, I think. A human being is a part of the whole, called by us universe. A part limited by time and space. We limit ourselves, our thoughts and our feelings, as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of our own consciousness. This delusion becomes a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our own personal desires and to affection for just the fewest persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of care and compassion, to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of care, to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. Albert Einstein. Could have been the Buddha, it could have been Jesus, it could have been Allah, could have been Gandhi, could have been Martin Luther King, it could have been anyone who had insight into the healing potential of loving kindness. This very, very deep quality of metta, of loving kindness, which works to unite all beings. It works to uncover the quality of interdependence, that we're all inextricably connected to each other. So one of the practices that we will be exploring during loving kindness meditation, during the 8-week program that I'm offering, is a practice of offering phrases of loving kindness first to our own heart, and that's how we'll look at it today. That we offer phrases of loving kindness to our heart, as if we were bringing ourselves the most precious, rare gift. And with each phrase, there's a pause. And in that pause, we're invited to briefly visualize or imagine what our life would look and feel like if that phrase was completely descriptive of how our life was unfolding. And so I'll read through each phrase here. We're not going to do a full guided meditation here, but you might get a sense for what it might be like to spend months or years contemplating these phrases. So the first, may I be safe. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be happy. May I live a life of peace without struggle. May I open to things just as they are. May I experience the world opening to me just as I am. May I welcome whatever arises. And so those are the phrases of loving kindness that we will be meditating on throughout the 8-week program. If you're not going to sign up for the 8-week program, that's also fine. I would highly encourage you to use these phrases in your own practice and really feel into each phrase. Some people that I work with in a one-to-one setting, they take just one phrase, like "May I be safe," and just hold that phrase lightly, moving throughout the day and seeing how that phrase might perhaps influence how we meet the arisings, the experiences of our day. So while we work with one or all of the phrases, very often resistances to the phrases come up, right? For example, the second phrase, may I be happy, right? And then we might have thoughts like, what? I can't be happy all of the time. That'll never happen for me. It's impossible to be happy all of the time. I don't know what he's talking about. This is crazy, right? Thoughts like that, doubt, the doubting mind. That's a very, very typical resistance. So if and when resistances come up around a loving kindness meditation, such as this one, the invitation is to hold that resistance with compassion and with kindness. We don't try to push the resistance away. We don't need to try to get rid of it. And we don't need to try to figure it out or psychoanalyze it, but rather simply holding the resistance. I like the image of the resistance being like a fist, right? Now, these resistances that we might experience, whether it's the doubting mind or simply some tension around the heart or in the jaw perhaps or in the abdomen, however this resistance shows up for you, those resistances were developed and created by our heart and our mind to protect us, probably a very long time ago. So there's a lot of wisdom in these resistances. There's a lot of uh, intelligence there. So we don't want to make them wrong. We don't want to embark on the idea that we should get rid of these resistances because they're actually very wise. They're there to keep us safe. And so in that spirit, we can honor the resistance, meeting this closed fist of resistance with the open hand of compassion. holding the resistance lightly. We might even say to the resistance, yes, thank you for being here. So nice that you're here to keep me safe. I don't need you here right now, but it's fine that you've showed up. Thank you for being here. So acknowledging the resistance and meeting it with kindness, meeting it with compassion, and then continuing to offer the phrases. Now, that resistance might feel like it's completely shrouding the heart, completely covering the heart. That when we offer the phrase, may I be happy, may I be safe, it doesn't even move into the heart at all because the resistance is so heavy. And that's fine. That's normal. That's the practice. That's where we start. Eventually, if you continue in that way, the phrases of loving kindness create a type of momentum. And so the energy of loving kindness starts to, it's like we've placed that resistance, that rock into a stream. And the stream is the river of loving kindness, the stream of loving kindness flowing around that rock, that resistance. Eventually, that energy of loving kindness begins to erode that rock. And maybe just 99% resistance, 1% loving kindness. It might start there, but that's enough. Eventually, that 1% becomes 2%, becomes 3%, and eventually that resistance starts to soften, break down, and eventually dissolve. Why? Simply because it feels better to be in a state of loving kindness than to be resisting. And so naturally, once we start to get a taste for the flavor of loving kindness, we naturally start to gravitate towards that taste, that flavor. So as we were reading through the phrases of loving kindness there, if you notice some resistances, some doubting, some pushing against the phrases, that's normal. These phrases are designed to bring those resistances up, because then, and only then, can we start to work with those resistances, right? If we don't bring them up into our awareness, these resistances remain in our unconscious and continue to really shade and color our way of experiencing the world. When we get to know our resistances, become intimate with the resistances towards loving kindness, then, for example, maybe I go to my favorite coffee place and I'm standing in line and maybe the person in front of me buys me the cup of coffee. This whole pay it forward thing that's really quite common and popular these days. Rather than me kind of shrugging that off as just being some cultural politeness, that would feel like a resistance, that shrugging it off. And then I notice, oh, I know what this resistance feels like because I felt it during the meditation practice. So the person buys me the cup of coffee, I receive the coffee, the resistance is there. But rather than just shrugging it off, I can say, oh, I can put that resistance aside and then really openly receive this person's generosity. I can really move into that moment with kindness and with curiosity and with gratitude. Really openly receiving that kindness. So one of the great benefits of this practice is we start to become more available to the acts of kindness that were perhaps always there, but we simply were unconsciously resistant to the feelings of loving kindness before a practice like this. So I think that's all I'm going to say today. Thank you so much for tuning in, for joining me. This was a pop-up Facebook Live. I didn't advertise this at all, but I will advertise the next one. And I intend to do this every Monday throughout the month of September. So if you were here and you enjoyed this live, I'll be back at the same time, 9:30 in a week from now. I'll also be doing Facebook Lives on Thursday at the same time, 9:30 in the morning on Thursdays. Again, this is Asia. This is Thailand time, so that would be, I think, 10:30 East Coast time, p.m., 10:30 p.m. East Coast of the States. Now, on Thursdays, I'll be talking about another course that I'm offering, which is entitled Self-Compassion, Forgiveness, and the Inner Critic. Self-compassion, forgiveness, and the inner critic. If you want more information around the retreats that I'm offering, please do go visit the website www.suchsweetthunder.org, and you can find all of the information about the retreats there, including how to register and sign up. And I look forward to seeing you all then, perhaps on Thursday. I hope you all have a great week, and look forward to seeing you then. Thanks again, and I'll ring the bell to close out this session of Facebook Live. Thank you.